Hi there, Aries. It's Sebastian doing your reading for February 2026. And I do apologize for not doing a video for January 2026. My laptop had been damaged, so it was broken. And then also I felt really sick before the due time for me to do the readings. What I'm committed to is that I'm consistent, but I'm here every single month, but that looks like scheduling myself for at least 2 weeks before the start of the month. So that's what I'm committed to, and I apologize again. Areas when I was doing my pre-reading, I giggled because there was a few things that came up here. One of them is, look, temptation is temptation, lust is lust. It doesn't mean that it's real. So take that however way you want to take that. And I think that when it comes to lust, even where it's lust and somebody that you, I think Aries like when you're in this, when you're in the game of life and when you're in the game of seeking truth, I always find that Aries are a little bit flamboyant, like they're really out there. And I really like that about I think that that's really charming. I think that's really but it's different. You don't get that. I think the closest star sign that I see has that besides you is a Gemini, and I deeply adore Geminis. But there's a ton of place for that charisma. There's a ton of place for that kind of inspiration, growth, and I think there's a part of you that's coming from not a good angle with this openness, inspiration. For example, I think you're coming at it because you possibly think that we're heading towards I picked up with some of you that you actually think we're in danger, like as a species or as a planet. Like I don't think we are. I think we're really far from that. But I mean, you can sit on that if you like to. It's just going to create a lot more anxiety. I just don't think it's healthy, especially when it's not true. Um, but I mean, by all means, you can think that's the truth. But I don't. There's it's not valid. Let's move forward. So in the past, there was a lot of happiness, there was a lot of fulfillment, there was a lot of emotional getting what you want, really speaking to people in a way that you knew that you were getting exactly what you want, basically. You're just some Aries. Aries gets what they want all the time. It's a fiery energy. Never mess with an Aries. And I think that in your immediate influence to what's happened now is that you're feeling of failure and you're feeling that there's a lot of backstabbing where you are. You're feeling like you can't trust people. And that's really peculiar for an Aries. So although that might be the case in some aspects, because as charming as you are, Aries, when you are that charming, you're always going to get backlash. You're always going to get negative energy around you when you're that charming, when you're that positive, when you're that amazing. It's just there's a lot of things that are going that's heading towards your way that really shouldn't be headed towards where. Let's just have a look. Remember lust. Lust can be a symbol of many things, whether that's lust in wanting to eat more chocolate, lust being wanting to start a hobby. Like there's lust can come into different forms. And I think that if you are headed towards lust in a particular area, I think let that go. There's differences between knowing what's good for you and knowing it's part of lust. Let's have a look at a clarification because I really want to know a little bit more. Ooh, yeah, I would just like not speak to other people about your circumstance when it comes to that. You wanna there's change or you wanna drift away or you wanna be somebody else. That's just areas as much as I sympathize with anyone that goes through a self-healing journey, changing yourself that drastic. I don't condone. Sorry, um I'm not positive with basically. So rewrite that or re-say that. Okay, so recent influences, you're obviously rooted by your family, your ancestry, your inheritance, and you're looking at your legacy. You obviously have a very loving family with older individuals who guide you a lot, who understand you, who are providing a lot of instructions or providing you with a lot of niceness and guidance around what you need to be guided through. There's a lot of compassion in your past. You were really kind. You're really intuitive, and you really healed people, and you really supported them in the past. That's how you see yourself. The goals that you want to have in the near future is you want to renew yourself. You want to really, you do want that. Find that with areas sometimes. I find that you reinvent yourself way too much, and it's scary because out of all star signs, you're the ones that can do that with ease. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but what I do know is that it's it's controversial, let's just say, to people. People might view that as you've reinvented yourself now. I don't know who you are. So be really careful with yourself when you do that. So future influencers, you want authority, you want discipline, you want integrity with all the people around you. You don't want to have this kind of, I feel like people are backstabbing you for whatever reason. Areas, if you're doing something that's not good, people are going to do that because you are a very integrous person, and no doubt, Aries, you've probably got a really important job role. So if I was you, I wouldn't go around doing stuff. Remember, it's part of that reinventing that you do that people go, I don't know who you are anymore. So just be careful. I think reinventing yourself is awesome. I think it's great. I think when you do that, I go, wow. So, but it doesn't mean that other people think that that's great. Let's just see more about why this is you. I wouldn't reinvent yourself right now, though. That's the thing. I know that you feel like home is where your heart is and you're really stressing about that. You might be traveling for work, you might be traveling for personal reasons. I'm not too sure why you're traveling or you're distant from your home place. So you really want to go back there. Maybe make that call, maybe make that move so then you can feel a little bit more balanced and you can feel a little bit more. I keep seeing and sensing the word of security. You really need to feel like you're secure. With your negative, what's happened in the past with negativeness is that you were very ambitious in your past and you're not getting that person back. And to be honest, Aries, like because I have a really good friend who's a fire sign. I feel like all fire signs are going through this right now. And what I find with fire signs is they always have this, you had your prime moment, and I just don't agree with that. There's some people that have primes, and I kid you not, there's people that have primes, like for example, Leos, right? They usually have their primes at 50 and 60. And for me in Aries, even though you're both fire signs, and Aries would say my prime's at 20, and I go, wow, that's not true. There's like Geminis, for example, their primes are again 30 to 40, unless they had their prime when they were really young, depending on the choices they make and what they know of themselves to be. But when it comes to Aries, I just feel like you think that you've had your prime and you're really searching for that prime back. Reinvent yourself, do something different. You're like the master at that. Your prime can be at any time, to be honest with you. So family and friends, you're doing a lot of harvesting rewards and growth with your family and friends. There's a lot of investments that you're trying to think about. There's probably a family business that you have as well, thinking about how I'm going to take over what I do. There's a Sagittarius. Sagittarius are involved in all of my readings thus far, which is not unusual, but I don't know why. Um, I'll find out. So, but with this, there's probably a Sagittarian or a Taurus that you really want to work with, that you really want to start a business with, or that could be your actual family members or the family business. So there's a lot of seeking advice or seeking guidance in the business. Not a problem. I think do what you need to do. So with hopes and dreams and ideas, you're really wanting your community, your friendships, your family to come together and be with you and to have those moments in time where you're sticking together, understanding that you've got that security. In your future, there is lies and sneakiness and trickery if you don't pick the right people around your community. So a lot of this reading is to give you guidance on understanding that I think when you reinvent yourself, let people know that you do. Like I think there's one example that I have. I had a Aries friend a long, long time ago, and he decided to wear cowboy hats for a long time, like for about 2 years, and then did wear a cowboy hat forever. So it was kind of strange for us as a group of friends, but we accepted him for who he was because we'd known him since we were young. But to other people, that might not be a good thing. Maybe some people get really kind of heartbroken with cowboy hats. You never know. But with guys, if they're doing this to you and they're not accepting you for who you are, really understand that then they might not be genuine as well. So there's a lot of trickery when it comes to this investment or trying to grow something with your family, looking at inheritance or looking at your legacy. There's a lot of trickery because there's a lot of people around you. I'm not saying it's not good, but what I'm saying is you got to be very, very careful. Let's just do two more cards. I don't really like ending with a negative no. Be committed to yourself. There's a lot of commitment that you actually have around you. Understand that and be committed to yourself and those commitments that you provided a long time. It's been a pleasure, Aries. See you next month.